Welcome to a unique edition of the It Depends podcast. Every edition of the podcast has movers and shakers of the industry, and we bring to you breaking innovation and news here. But today I'm excited to be one of the first to report something that you don't know about someone you do know. My guest has been in the data and AI space for about 25 years. We've all known him because we follow his passion, we follow the work he's done. I have had the opportunity to collaborate with him for many years as he has progressed from his career in startups. Then he was at Oracle. Most recently, he was at Google Cloud. He left Google Cloud and moved to its sibling, CapitalG, which is a venture funding arm of Alphabet. And now he's at a great new place, but I'm not ready to tell where that is because I'd rather he himself tells you about it. His name is no other than Bruno Aziza. Bruno, so great to have you on this episode.
Well, thanks for having me, Sanjeev. It's always great to be talking to you.
Likewise, you have been so passionate about technology. We see that in the CarCast you do. You've been doing CarCast for how many years now?
It's going to be almost 4 years because it started, with the customer asking me to kind of summarize every week what's happening in the space. And I just did it for them first. And it just took off over time. So it's about 4 years.
And you just launched your Substack. Uh,
Yes. Yeah. Now I'm starting to professionalize it with the newsletter. I'm not spending much more time on how to promote or anything like that because I just do it as a service for the community. And also, I'm learning a ton. And I've reached now limits on LinkedIn. So I've got to start a different way so people can find me.
you're a student, you're a teacher, you're a thought leader, you have your point of view, and you're an influencer. So, but the best part is, Bruno, you brought along a friend, a mutual friend.
That's correct.
With that, I'd love to invite Rilke onto our podcast today.
Hey, it's great to be here with you, Sanjeev, and of course you too, Bruno.
Yes. By the way, Rilke is somebody I admire. I work closely with. I've known her for years and years. She was at IBM, then she left, and now she is vice president. I'll have you, Rilke, introduce yourself. But before we go, I want to say this show is about Bruno. So, Bruno, tell
Bruno's amazing. It is about him.
We said we wouldn't talk about Bruno.
So, by the way, Bruno, you have left everybody in such an intrigue and mystery. Last on your CarCast, you announced you were leaving Google. You gave us a teaser, but you didn't tell us where exactly you are going. So,
Yes, we're about to announce that. So I'm excited to join Redeka at IBM.
ah,
And that's the news, really, that we're going to share today, a little bit about what we're working on. But that is the surprise. Redeka and I have worked before together. I've got huge respect for the work that she's done. And when we talked a few months ago, we talked about the common mission. And so I have now officially started at IBM.
and what is your role at IBM?
I'm working on in product management. I'm focused on data AI strategy, outbound product management, and business analytics. It's really exciting because, and we'll talk about this today, when you think about what IBM brings to the table here, there's just a lot going on in our space. I think the first one is this idea of Gen AI. I was just reading a survey that was showing 66% of executives are fairly dissatisfied with the progress in Gen AI. And I think a main reason for it is because up until now, we really talked about it as a technology. And I think if you look at what people really want is beyond the tech talk, right, that we need to go and address. Our own survey of CIOs and CEOs shows that 60% of organizations do not have a consistent enterprise-wide approach to Gen AI. So if I think about this unique opportunity to think about Gen AI beyond a technology, but really as a business transformation opportunity, IBM is really uniquely positioned for that. Obviously, with the experience over many, many years building systems of trust, across critical industries, you think about financial services and healthcare and utilities and so forth. And trust is going to be a critical component of how people succeed in data and AI, particularly in Gen AI. And so I'm really excited about that because, first thing here is to think about is how do we serve the customers, the clients, so they can succeed with their vision. And IBM is a formidable, I think, player in this space for showing so much being done over the years and now entering this new wave that's truly going to enable enterprises to transform their business with this new technology. So that's kind of the motivation, of course, and Radhika put me in touch with Arvin, of course, and we talked about more than just AI. We talked about the opportunity across open source, the agentic frameworks, hybrid, and all of that as a product guy for me was music to my ears. It felt like everything I'd done up until here was preparing me for this moment. So I'm really excited to join the team.
I am so happy you did that. I was at an IBM event in May of 2024 called Think, and I wrote a blog of all the things because I really felt that IBM is in a very unique position. A lot of organizations have parts and pieces of the stack, and IBM has it all, from hardware to LLMs to CPUs to the entire mature data and analytics stack, all the way to governance. So this is very exciting to
Yeah,
see.
your blog had a big influence on me when I was preparing for the interviews. I read your blog 3 or 4 times before I got in front of the rest of the team because you did a really great job breaking up the needs of the customers, but also how IBM's position on the openness of the strategy was really going to be a differentiating factor for customers. So that really was encouraging.
That is, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much for saying that. Uh, There's something I want to bring. There's an 800-pound gorilla in the room. So I want to be very candid about it. And, so please take it in the right spirit. When I talk to people about IBM and how, I'm excited about IBM's offerings and how it's transforming itself, I sometimes get a pushback that, oh wow, IBM's been around for a long time. And you yourself have been in startups and day zero kind of organizations. So what attracts you to IBM?
Well, there's quite a few things. And so you're right. I've done lots of startups. I've done 4 startups and 2 of them sold. I did mid-stage companies going IPO, and I did hyperscalers 7 years at Microsoft and then Oracle. And the thing that is really attractive about IBM is this culture of innovation. Actually, it's very common to a lot of the startups that I worked at. If you look at the history of the invention of the organization, particularly in our space, there's amazing inventions. SQL was invented by IBM. The first DBMS was invented, in fact, in the research lab here in San Jose, California. When it comes to AI, there's a long history. I don't know if people remember the TD algorithm that was designed to mimic how humans learn. There's, of course, Deep Blue. And so I'm lucky here to be surrounded by really, really deep thinkers and inventors that, already have been legendary in their inventions in pushing the industry and also what they're working on moving forward. But beyond just the innovation and invention, there's also a lot to say about, well, how do you take that and implement it in a highly reliable way? Because the reason for why these important organizations rely on IBM is because they know they can rely on IBM for business critical workloads in business critical industries. If you've used an ATM recently, well, that's running on IBM software. And so this is definitely a domain where you're going to want to rely on the ability to trust the system. When it comes to AI, this really easily transfers, right? What are the main values for deploying AI in the enterprise? Reliable, trustable, ethical. And so I think this is where IBM bring both its invention DNA and also its ability to build systems that are highly reliable in critical industries, critical business workloads. I think that really matters a lot. Now, if you look at the portfolio, of course, and I think you said that actually in your blog, you called it the embarrassment of riches, huge depth and breadth in AI technology, service portfolio, breadth and depth in the partner ecosystem. There's the AI Alliance, of course, but tens of thousands of partners. You think about the Databricks, the Meta, the Oracle, the MD, the AWS, all these companies that kind of revolve around the IBM ecosystem that really enable customers to take advantage of the data AI opportunity to transform their business through the ecosystem. And so I think combine these three things, right? Innovation and invention, implementation in the enterprise in real critical workloads, and the ability to be open to the ecosystem, you now have a great formula as a CIO or CEO to succeed, particularly with Gen AI.
That is amazing. Thank you for bringing it all together. One of my favorite stories from Think 24 was how there were these engineers from IBM and Red Hat who were sleeping inside the research center because they were so excited about this new invention they were creating that optimized large language models. And when IBM management found out, they were like blown away with the work that was going on, and now it's called Instruct Lab. And I know Ritika can talk more about it because she's in the thick and thin of this. I'd love to have Ritika be back because I'm very curious to hear how is IBM going to change this perception that people have of IBM being a legacy company.
I really think about what we're doing is not legacy, but legendary. And you heard Bruno talk about it just a little bit, but when you think about what we've been able to do since our inception, especially in the data and AI space, with what we've done with databases, with what we've done in AI, these are enduring systems that last for decades, that really underpin the essential business critical systems of many organizations, not just enterprises, but all kinds of organizations in terms of how they actually run their backend systems. And for me, I think about the simplicity with which we have really defined our strategy and how we're executing on this. I look at all things, and like one of the reasons I'm really excited about being at IBM and being able to partner, first of all, with Bruno, and I'm really excited to have him as a partner in this journey. I look at this in three particular ways. One, do you have a North Star in terms of what we really want to be accomplishing in this space? And if you look at the last few years in IBM, we have been very, very prescriptive that we are a hybrid cloud and an AI company. And with that, you have a very clear North Star of what we're really embarking on. And that North Star is really in terms of hybrid cloud and AI and innovations that matter to how organizations, to how business actually is performed. And then I think about, okay, if you know your North Star, what are the vessels that you can actually get to that North Star? Let's say it's a boat in the oars. I think about that as all the innovation. Sanjeev, as you mentioned, things like Instruct Lab, things like what we're believing in with small language models, things like what it means to be able to put AI with trust and transparency throughout your most essential systems, and to do so in an open way where enterprise Gen AI is really a data problem that we're going to go solve. All of these are innovations that we're working on across all of the functions within our organization, whether that be our research teams, whether that be our engineering and our product teams, whether that be in our dev advocacy teams. We are working across the different functions, which brings me to the third area, is the team that is in that boat with you driving to the North Star. And there's no better team, I believe, than the team that we have that is really driving the innovations, the technology, the velocity, in terms of what it means to really have enterprise generative AI and data technologies and innovations that really are essential to business.
Ritika, I love the way you said it's not legacy, it's legendary, because I really feel innovation, and as Bruno has also said, is in the DNA of the company. All the way from like 50, 60 years ago when even relational databases, actually mainframes before that, and then relational databases, SQL, all those things were just coming in. So when you build that kind of team that's so dedicated and steeped into innovation, then it's easy to trust a partner like that. for especially because we are in such a rapid innovation in our space. It is literally every day is a new, you start your day with something new that has happened.
Yeah, and I'll give you two customer examples. I'm new here, of course, but you know that the first thing that Ritika and I do is talk to customers to learn how they deploy and make this a reality. Look at the story of American Airlines, right? So this is an organization that takes advantage of both IBM software and consulting capabilities. They are using this program called the IBM Garage to accelerate the development and the release cycles. They're able to deploy these applications in the middle of a hurricane, right? So think about that, right? You're deploying an application in the middle of a disaster. You really need to partner with a company that knows how to do that because it's got to be highly reliable and deployable. I look at companies, and another one, now I'm going to confess my French bias, of course. I look for French companies. Are you surprised? Crédit Agricole is a gigantic financial services organization. They have something like 53 million customers, 147 employees, a budget over 3 years for IT of $20 billion. They launched 2 data AI applications powered by the IBM software to help with this massive budget. And what was interesting about the way they approach it, it's yes, the application, but also how auditable the applications are for regulators. So the terms I think that customers are starting to use in this area, we're past the hype and the excitement. I think we're now looking at enterprise deployment in the sense that it's got to work, it's got to be highly reliable, and it's got to be auditable because, well, just like Kritika said before, this Gen AI era is really about the data. And if you can't make the real stuff work, the hype kind of fades in the back. And so I would kind of encourage people when they think about that is, yes, the folks that are succeeding, the coolness about it is the fact that it works reliably and it's also a highly trustable, auditable. That's where the cool factor is, not so much that it's got nice looking graphics or anything like that. The interesting thing about it is that we'll talk a lot more about this at the Tech Exchange event that's just coming up here in Vegas. I know you'll be there. It will be my first event, so I'm really looking forward to connecting with all these customers. That's what I would encourage people listening to hear is don't just take it for what Ritika and I are saying today. Come to the event, read about the customers, because I think we're entering in this era of enterprise AI, enterprise Gen AI, that is more than just the whiz bang. It's more about the real reliable deployments.
Yeah, I completely agree. In fact, I'm starting to see we are finally at that inflection point. And the way I see it, we are entering a new era is because this is the third phase. The first one was in 2017 when Google came out with attention is all you need till the ChatGPT came out. That was all about technology tinkering, getting it to work. From ChatGPT onwards till almost 2 years later, it's all been about optimizing, scaling, accuracy, trying to figure out what are the right use cases. I feel this is the point where AI has really gotten good. Whether it is, I've seen granite models being used, for example, from IBM to take old J2EE code, COBOL code, and modernize it into a new version of Java. So I think now it's a point when we are starting to see agents delivering sales coaching and SDR, and it's finally coming to a fruition, in my opinion. So I want to ask, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And this inflection point that we're going to, where I really think about it, Sanjeev, is pilots to production. This inflection point is really something that is in the DNA of IBM. Like if you really think about what we're embarking on in terms of what it means to have generative AI infused across organizations for the enterprise, we started with it's a data problem. And that means like you need to be able to do things like RAG in a way where you have auditable, credible kind of lineage in how you're doing it, how you're actually doing RAG across your organization. InstructLab, which you mentioned, which is how do you take an enterprise's data and how do you start manifesting that in a foundation instruct-aligned model so that an organization can use that across their entire org, and how can you do it in a way where every piece of synthetic data that's generated is stored, audited, lineage, along with the models themselves. And you're doing so in a way where you can kind of understand that bigger LLMs aren't always better. Like, this is where we know most organizations are hitting this cost efficiency thing of, hey, like, I need to be able to take what was in pilot, which it would extrapolate to be 20 million a month, to something that's a 50th of that cost. And so this notion of bigger LLMs are not always better, and we can have very prescribed functional LLMs, is something that's also really important to most organizations. I think the third thing in this area is, Sanjeev, like, we see trust is a huge factor. Trust not only in the whole generative AI lifecycle management of what it means to develop, to actually put it out in production and that lifecycle, but the risk and compliance officers with very business critical mission workloads and highly regulated environments. That's really important. The CISO knowing that what they have developed is actually secured with robustness, that's important. And then being able to do that in a way where it's open, where what you're building with is transparent, and you know the data that it's open, that it's been used. It is open for everyone to use. Where their data resides is really, really critical. And these are the things that have been part of the DNA of IBM and in data and AI since the inception. And so we're really looking forward to this next inflection point.
That is great. Ritika, I was actually going to ask you, what are the three big takeaways, why you joined IBM? So you've already answered that, but it's interesting. I still want to see what attracted you, because you have boomeranged to IBM earlier this year. What was the trigger, and what made you make that move?
I think it goes back to the three things. It really starts with the people, like the people in terms of our teams and what we're really tasking ourselves to do on this mission of hybrid cloud and AI. So it first comes down to like the people, working with great people across our research teams, across our product and engineering teams that are really focused on achieving this mission. The second is, Sanjeev, when it comes to really driving innovation in these areas that matter, like, what does it mean to encode data into models? What does it mean to actually do it in the most cost-efficient, trusted, open way? I really think the innovation that IBM is doing by far is really essential to mission-critical workloads, to essential workloads, and every organization is going to have them. So the scale of the impact that I could have here was very evident to me. And doing it with the team I love working with innovation that really matters, was very critical for me. And of course, now being able to work with Bruno.
I have to say, Ritika is very humble here. I can tell you my observation is, one, she's assembled an incredible team. It's really amazing to watch. Second, the types of customer meetings that she has, and the types of executives that she engages with is really next level. And I think that's a testament to the type of conversations that we're going to be in. I can't wait to do something like this again with you, Sanjeev, in 6 months, when we can kind of talk about the customers and what they're working on in details, and the types of products that we're putting in market. It's going to be an incredible time for IBM and their customers, I think, to see what we can do now. Because like you said earlier, we're past all the buzz now. Now the time is real, and we got to orchestrate for enterprise Gen AI. And there aren't many organizations that can do it as well and as uniquely reliable as IBM can. So I'm really excited. Started with Tech Exchange in just a few weeks. Like I said, if you're not registered for it, you should. And if you can't attend it, reach out to us, because we're going to be in a few tours to go out to talk to customers. Myself, I'll be in Europe in November. We have some of the largest user conferences running there. And so we definitely want to connect with you and hear from you.
Thank you so much. I am honored that you both joined my podcast for this news. And you are going to get a lot of emails and questions about it. So you'll both be at Tech Exchange, I guess.
That's right. We'll both be there.
Yep.
October 21st to the 23rd at Mandalay.
Right.
in Las Vegas.
That's correct.
So I put the
See you in
link.
Vegas.
Sorry.
See you in Vegas.
Yes. Yes. And you know what happens in Vegas?
It is not good. This one's not going to stay in Vegas. The entire world's going to know about it.
Yeah, AI is, yeah, we live in a very global world. And I'll also put a link to your Substack in
Sounds
the
good.
LinkedIn post. So thank you so much. So excited to continue this journey and keep working with you, and looking forward to some amazing innovation. And like Bruno, you said we should again do this in 6 months. I tell people I reinvent myself every 3 weeks. I seriously feel that way. So 6 months, who knows where we'll be. So
Hey, we could do it in 3 months if you'd like.
okay, sounds good. Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
And
Sanjeev.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Bye.
thanks. See you. Bye.